Hi, Hannah here from Zoek, the UK's fastest growing intelligent job matching site. I would like to say a very special thank you to Lord Kirkham CVO, founder and chairman of furniture retailer DFS, for joining me on this interview today. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Hannah.
After selling DFS in April 2010, you invested in Iceland supermarkets until the stakeholding was sold in 2015. And also started up Whitby's award-winning fish and chip shop restaurants in 2012. So for this Q&A, I would like to understand more about your journey to becoming a thriving leader in the retail industry and what you have learned to help advise job seekers for their future career development. So could you tell me how you started out in the retail industry and what made you choose it?
Well, there you are. I think luck plays a massive part in life, so I would advise anybody that is watching this video to do everything they can to try and make themselves lucky. I always wanted to be a pilot in the RAF, and you needed to get two O-levels to join the Cranwell RAF training school. I didn't work very hard at school. I didn't get the O-level, so there I was leaving school with no qualifications to do the job I always wanted to do, to be a pilot. So I looked around what was available. It was a time where, there was a lot of unemployment. There weren't loads of jobs around. And so I took a job that was available. And that was it, rather than one that I suited. And it was a job as a furniture salesman in a furniture store in Doncaster.
What has your proudest achievement been?
I'm proud of lots of individual things and successes that I've attained. But I really think that I'm a bit of a dissatisfied person. I always want to do more. I always feel I could have done more than that or done better. So of course I was really proud when in 1995 the Queen had put a sword over my shoulder and said, "Rise to Graham." I was really proud, not just for me, but that my mum, who was still alive, would be able to see that and be proud of her son. I was proud when the DFS company floated on the stock exchange. So many things I've been proud of, but there's not anything that stands out as overriding pride, actually.
Okay. And if you were to restart your career, what would you invest in?
Well, I've been really satisfied with my career. I've really, really enjoyed it in every way. And I think partly that's because it's been quite successful. But today it's a different world. I mean, there were no mobile phones when I started DFS, no World Wide Web. And clearly that is where the future lies, Hannah. It's what you know all about and I know little about. But I know enough to know that is where the future is. And I know that if I was starting out today, that I would be wanting to go down that high-tech web sort of route, I think.
Have you experienced any failures? And if so, what have you learned from them?
Yeah, I have experienced, as you might imagine, loads and loads of failures. And what I've actually learned is that almost today I say, come on, failure, because it's a great opportunity to learn. And that's how children learn, and that's how we learn. You can't keep having failures and making the same mistake again. But if you make a mistake, that's human. You shouldn't be bothered about it. You should learn from that. And that's how you get better.
Okay. And has anyone influenced who you are and what you have done in your career?
Yeah, loads and loads of people. I came from a very humble working class background. My dad was a coal miner, with a house with an outdoor toilet, no bathroom, all that sort of thing. So I didn't really have any people around and about me to be examples. So I thought, as I wanted to progress in life, that I should look around and see people that have progressed in life. And I looked around at people that had little businesses or seemed to be happy and doing well. And I tried to see if they'd got qualities that I could copy, or things that I could do. And to be honest with you, it's very hard because they were all different. There were some old ones, some young ones. They were all different nationalities and religions. There were some fat ones and some thin ones. And they were all quite different. But the one thing I did notice that they had in common, actually, the one thing they did have in common, they worked really hard. And so what I did, I was naturally quite a hard worker, but I developed a work ethic. And what I would say to anybody setting out on a career, that really, it seems to me, a quality that's essential in life if you want to go far.
Yeah. What is the best investment that you have made?
In financial things, in material things, I have bought things. I've been an art collector for a long time, and I've bought art that have sold at enormous profits. Never intended to, but it's been wonderful. So that's been, massively satisfying. But, about 30 or 40 years ago, that long ago, I started to get involved in charities, and I've had more return on the investment of being involved in young people's charity like the Duke of Edinburgh Award and Outward Bound than I've really ever had in actually earning money. So I think you can get a lot more satisfaction and a lot more return from doing things that you really enjoy doing, and they don't have to necessarily be measured by money. Sometimes, if you can afford to, and you can't always afford to, but sometimes you're better, in my view, taking a job that's really satisfying than one that pays a bit more, but you might not like quite as much.
Yeah. How do you keep yourself inspired and motivated?
I've been naturally optimistic and positive, but I think you can learn that. Not every day do you wake up, punching the air and want to be positive. But if you try and put on a positive face, then suddenly, before you know it, you're feeling more positive and optimistic. And that can, make you feel better and make you more motivated. And certainly you do the job better, whatever the job is, if you can get a smile on your face, I think.
Yeah. What characteristics or traits do you believe successful people have in common?
The one golden thread that does run through them all, I'm aware I'm repeating myself here, but I think it's so important, is hard work. I really think that without that, I don't think there's any other common factor, actually. I think that would be it. And to work hard, it's nice if you can find yourself slotted in a job that you like, because if you like it, you tend to do it better. You tend to spend more time there.
Have you ever come across something that you find to be true that most other people might disagree with?
I think in business, I've found more often that people have a different view to me. I've got friends that run businesses of all sizes, and some of them run businesses like dictators. They run them in that very strong you will do manner. I've always tried to get people, on side and to get some consensus. So I think the biggest way I've differed from lots of people, certainly in business, is in that manner. I've always felt that, one person can only know so much, and it's far better if you can pull in advice and ideas from other people. Not everybody believes that. A lot of people think they know it all, and we never know it all. The older I've got, I realise how little I know, actually. I don't even know why you're talking to me.
And what is your greatest fear, and how would you manage fear?
Fear, I've always been a marketeer and advertiser, and all the marketeers believe that fear is the greatest motivator to get people to spin into action. You may have noticed the DFS advertisements. The offer ends 5 p.m. this Sunday. People are terrified. It frightens them. If they don't get down there by 5 a.m., they're going to miss the offer. So fear is a great motivator. But I think if you know that, then it's a powerful emotion. You can try and use it to motivate yourself, but not to be frightened by fear. I think you've got to embrace fear. It's absolutely human to be frightened.
What makes a good fit for someone looking to work in the retail industry?
Yeah, well, in the retail industry, that's an interesting point, because retail isn't backroom. If you're in a backroom industry, it doesn't really matter what you look like, how you dress, lots of things people don't see, or even your personality sometimes. But if you're involved in retailing, you're right at the front, customer facing. So clearly you need, if you can, to be personable. You need to be able to smile. You need to be able to be a good listener. And frankly, I think you do want to look the part, whatever that part may be. So I do think you need, in a way, to be in retail in some of those God-given skills.
Yeah. What key things do you look for and pay attention to while conducting an interview?
To me, for example, I'm always punctual, and I think punctuality is really, really important. So if somebody's not on time, they're going to have to make up for that in a big way by some other things. I also think, actually, and I said it just in regards to retailing, I think that you've got to look the part. I think that if you go in for an interview, you've got to treat the interviewee with respect. So I'm looking for people that are respectful to me in the way, for example, that they dress. I'm not saying that they ought to wear, huge brands and things like that, but I think they should be smart. Whatever that is, it can be smart, casual, it can be a cool sort of smartness. And I think they should try and develop the confidence to look you in the eyes. That's important to me, and not to look at the shoes, because I'm looking for sort of, honesty and punctuality and appearance. They're pretty key.
Yeah. And what top tips would you give somebody looking to become successful in the retail industry?
Well, it's the old story. Retail industry, unfortunately, it is long hours, so they're going to have to be back again to the same old thing, that hard work ethic. I think that's really, really important. I think they've always got to prepare to learn more and to listen, because that's how you find what your customer wants, whatever it is they're buying, whether it's a pair of shoes or a huge sophisticated motor car or a big machine for a factory. They want to be listened to. But also, I think that you are always learning, and it doesn't drop in your lap. I think you need to do whatever you need to do. I think you need to try to read books on it. I think you need to ask questions and ask people and research more. And I think that applies to going for a job as well. I think you say, what would I look for when I would interview people? It would impress me a bit, if they'd done a little bit of homework, and I don't mean a lot. But if they knew a little bit about the business, and if I were to ask them a question, I know many people do, well, is there anything you'd like to ask me about the job? And if I felt they knew a bit about the job and they asked me a sensible question, it might impress me, because not everybody goes to that trouble.
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges facing job seekers today who are looking to enter the retail industry?
Well, I think the biggest challenge that retailers got today, and we're right in it now, is to see just how much online and the web is going to impact on physical stores. So I think that that can be quite a challenge. And also, I really believe that society's developed stronger than ever before, and people now are more demanding than they ever have been. So, and I really think where once retailing and being a shop assistant or a salesman or in any managerial role, any form of retailing, wasn't quite the professional job that it is now, and is beginning to be seen to be now. And you've got to be quite professional. It's a real talent and skill, and you've got to work at it like in any other job.
What short and long-term changes do you foresee following the coronavirus outbreak, both to the retail industry and the wider economy?
Yeah, well, short term, really short term, and there's no doubt about this. And I've talked about being positive and optimistic, but that doesn't mean you can't face the facts of the matter. And the facts of the matter, Hannah, without any shadow of a doubt, is that there's going to be more unemployment in the short term.
Yeah.
If there's more unemployment, then there's going to be more work for you to do, and there's going to be more applicants for jobs, and the people that you're putting forward to jobs and the people that are applying for jobs are going to really have to present themselves in the best possible way that they can. And they need, as I've said earlier, help to do that. So that's a big change. It might be harder to get a job, so you've got to really look at it professionally, get the best advice, and give it your absolute best shots and present yourself positively. So that's a big thing. And for sure going forward, because people have been forced to work from home, I think there's going to be a bit more sort of remote working. And that's going to bring obviously challenges. I think people like the idea at first of working from home because in a way, it didn't feel quite like work. But I think if that's going to be more permanent, then there's going to have to be big changes, because that's going to have to be organized and supervised. And I think at the moment that hasn't been done because it seemed to be temporary. So that's going to have to be put on a much more professional footing, I think.
How has coronavirus affected hiring and candidate demand in the retail industry?
Well, in the retail industry now, I think the retailers had such an incredibly tough time, and existence has been staying in business is what has been their priority. So consequently, the last thing on their mind has been on recruiting new people. even if there's been the opportunity to get good people, they've really wanted to say, how can we not pay our bills? How can we stay in business? What help can we get? So that has been up to now. What we are seeing is as places are now opening up, there is a spike in demand.
What challenges do you think the retail industry will face when adapting to the new normal of social distancing?
Social distancing varies throughout Europe and throughout the world, actually. But I think if it's a metre, most retailers will be able to run the business at a metre, and indeed a lot of restaurants and maybe even pubs will be able to do that too. So I think we're in a bit of flux at the moment, and there'll be a lot of changes. And it's an interesting point, this, because whatever the social distancing, whether it's retail or factories or offices or the city or any other business, at the end of the day, you said earlier what was most important, and I said hard work. But you know, if you were to say what's most important to the success of a business, well, then it's not their location or anything like that. What's most important to the success of a business is the people that business employs. So even as I'm saying to you, Hannah, that it might be tough and there's more people unemployed, the employers are really looking for the best people, because it's the quality of the employees that the employer gets to determine if their business is going to be successful or not. So that's the good news. The best armies, they have the best soldiers, the best football teams, whoever you support, they have got the best players, and the best companies have got the very best employees, the very best staff too. So rest assured that those HR people and those interviewers are looking for the very best people. So the people that are putting themselves forward for jobs have got to put themselves forward in the best light so that they are the people that get selected and picked.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much, Lord Kirkham. That was really, really good. Really
well, that's good. Well, I hope that I've enjoyed doing it. I've tried my best. I hope what you've got there is a lifetimes of experience. Some of it, I'm sure, might sound a bit dated, but some of it is very current, right up to the minute. So I do hope that you and some of the people that you help and advise find some of what I've had to say beneficial. And so thank you very much indeed.